Hi friends, this is Ajay. This is my first video tutorial. I hope I'm clear and audible. In this session, we'll see how to build a deep learning model for XOR. XOR is nothing but a basic logic gate that outputs 0 for same input and otherwise outputs 1. Okay. I wanted to start something basic, that is why I've chosen for this particular case study. Even though it might not be an appropriate demonstration for deep learning specifically. Okay. Now, in past 5 years, machine learning has evolved tremendously with various powerful libraries like TensorFlow, Keras, Theano, and many others. In this tutorial, I will stick to TensorFlow and Keras. So before we moving to TensorFlow or Tensor, first I would like you to understand what is the difference between deep learning and machine learning. So these are two things. I want you to understand in very simple layman terms. Okay. So in traditional machine learning algorithms or techniques, the domain expert is needed to make or infer something from the data. So a domain expert is needed to extract features that can make the data more meaningful and help make the patterns more visible so that the machine learning algorithms work. On the contrary, the deep learning algorithms, they try to learn the high level features implicitly from the data in an incremental fashion. So this eliminates the need of domain expert or hardcore feature extraction. The figure demonstrates a simple use case where the input is a car. So in traditional machine learning, you have a human that extracts the feature and then builds a classification model around that data, and then to predict whether the input is a car or not. On the contrary, if you see the figure at the bottom, for deep learning, the feature extraction and classification is done by the deep learning algorithm itself. So when do we exactly prefer deep learning? So when we have complex real-time problems, we stick to deep learning, or when you have a very big data, we prefer deep learning. Or if you have a high computational infrastructure, then also you can prefer deep learning. And lastly, even if there is no domain expert, you can go ahead with deep learning. So now next I would like you to understand what is this tensor about. What is this tensor all about? Okay. So a tensor is nothing but a multidimensional matrix or array. So you take an example on the left hand side. So when we write float variable a, so this becomes a scalar. When you write float and a single dimension, this is a vector. Now when you write float and a 2 dimension, this becomes a matrix. Now when you write it for 3 dimension, it becomes 3D tensor, and when you write for n dimension, it becomes an ND tensor. The example on the right just illustrates what the thing that is explained on the left hand side in a different way, right? If you write 1, it is a scalar. When you write in a one dimensional, it becomes a vector. When you write in more than one dimensional, it becomes a matrix. And if you have n dimensions, it becomes an ND tensor. Okay. So there are popular libraries like TensorFlow, Theano, Keras. So TensorFlow is a library written in C++. That leverages the GPU power capacity. So this TensorFlow is a popular machine learning library with which the self-driving car, if you have heard, is built on. Theano is also a similar library to TensorFlow. So this TensorFlow and Theano are numerical platforms, and Keras is a higher level API written in Python for which the backend can be TensorFlow or Theano. So in short, Keras deep learning library can run on top of Theano or TensorFlow. So now in this particular case, we will fit a deep learning model to design an XOR. Okay, so XOR is nothing but exclusive logic gate. So the output from this gate will be 1 when either of the input is 1. So that is demonstrated in the truth table. Okay, so with this I will conclude the theoretical part. For this demonstration I will show you using both Python and R language, because the Keras implementation is very similar for both. Okay, thank you. Let's wait for the second part.